The Essendon board has met 3 times in the last 48 hours. It's been absolutely absolutely insane, because basically one of their presidents the president was basically forced to resign. And then after the president was forced to resign, tons of rumors started flying out there that Truck, Ben Rutten, was going to be fired. And that because basically they wanted to be able to have the open seat to be able to woo Clarko. And it's just been nuts, because there were tons of rumors Rutten was fired. Now Rutten's okay. Now Rutten's in the job. Rutten's been interviewed, and Rutten thinks he's still coaching next year. So it has just been, and pardon my French, ladies and gentlemen, a clusterfuck for the last 48 hours at Telemarine at the Essendon Football Club. It has been absolutely insane, and it really has thrown Essendon has thrown a cat amongst the pigeons, because if until all of this drama happened with Essendon, it was pretty much almost done for many people that North Melbourne had Clarko. Clarko was about to sign, but it's kind of one of those, it's almost like the meme that I see, and I've even seen somebody edit it perfectly, that it's the meme that's a guy holding his girlfriend's hands and another girl walks by and he turns his head, and it's basically it's the one girl he's holding hands with is North Melbourne, and it's Clarko's head on the guy's body with an Essendon jumper girl walking the other way. So it's been this very interesting discussion.
Also, props to you, Diane, for being able to fully articulate and describe the meme. That's hard to do sometimes. Good job.
So and because of all that, we also basically found out that Clarko told GWS, "I'm not interested in your job," which is the reason why Adamuze is really being discussed. I know some people still think that Hinkley could still be possible, though. Well, here's the thing, though. I'm also gonna squash this a little bit too.
Damn it!
Port Adelaide's board was not exactly happy with their president a couple weeks ago, kind of throwing Hinkley under the bus, shall we say, about potentially firing him. The board wasn't happy with him. That basically the board still thinks Hinkley is going to be their man next year. So that kind of, again, that one took a lot of twists and turns, but I think Hinkley is at Port Adelaide next year, unless something crazy happens, unless GWS just randomly decides that they really want Hinkley and want to throw the farm at him. I think Hinkley's at Port Adelaide. I think Adamuze is going to be your coach. It sounds like the GWS was super impressed with what he's done. He is looked at as one of the top assistants in the entire country when it comes to AFL, and one of the best up-and-coming head coaches potentially there. Honestly, my personal opinion, this is what I want. And again, I don't think I'm going to get what I want. I think Clarko ends up at North. I think Essendon is just it is an insane asylum right now. And I think if Clarko wants to jump into what is a list that I think just cannot make up its mind what it wants to be, I think he's going to end up at North Melbourne. I think Ben Rutten most likely is probably still going to be Essendon's coach next year, but he's going to be on a very, very short leash next season at Telemarine. I honestly, in the first 6 games, it will not shock me if they are not 3-3 or better. Rutten will find himself unemployed. It's what I think is going to happen. But again, I just don't know. I mean, Essendon could, woo Clarko, and Clarko ends up taking the Bombers job, which, it has been press released out there that it was one of the teams he thought he could coach and do well with when it comes to the list. So it'll be fascinating to watch that. But it has just been every podcast that I've listened to, just hearing these news people, they are all just, as soon as they think they know, some kind of twist happens. Like I said, the Essendon board has met more times this week than they have in probably the previous couple of months. Because the president, you're forced to resign. You're questioning whether the coach is going to be there. The CEO has to answer doorstop questions, whether Rutten is his coach. Has he talked to Clarko? Has he talked to Clarko? Clarko's in Adelaide, so now people are going, did they ever even speak to him? So there's just so much going on.
Well, Clarko
it is so hard to keep track of. He's in Adelaide.
He was in Adelaide for personal reasons.
Yeah, he was in Adelaide.
Anything for coaching.
Yep. So he hasn't been meeting with Essendon these last couple of days.
No.
So that's kind of the other thing that's, again, kind of throwing a little bit of a spanner in the works a little bit, because it's not like Essendon is sitting down right now with Clarko hammering out a contract and getting ready to come out on Friday with a press release saying that Clarko is their new head coach. Truck is going to get through the end of the season, and then then Clarko's going to take over. It hasn't happened, but it's just been a circus, and it's been insane.
Exactly. But also, speaking about the circus, I freaking love this story, dude. I don't know about you. I don't know about you guys listening, but this has been just as entertaining as some of the actual footy that we've seen this year, just because, like you were going on, how many twists and turns we've seen this Clarko storyline take. It's been fantastic. And you might think, like, I might be almost a little bit stressed out about it, but especially being a GWS supporter, but I'm not, because good news is Clarko isn't going to GWS. And if you caught the show a couple of weeks ago, I talked myself into being I talked myself into being cool, like kind of wanting Clarko to be there. I've talked myself into not wanting Clarko. It's a very interesting conversation. You're going to have to go check that one out, because it was great, because Donnie was like my little therapist, my footy therapist, if you will, because I was just kind of talking.
I somehow convinced you that Clarko, not getting Clarko may not actually be a bad thing, and I was actually impressed with myself listening to it later. I was like, actually made some really good points.
Yes, you did. See, so it worked out great. So but I'm still 100% in. I mean, no offense to Adam, but it's going to happen, Don. I know there's like a 5% chance, but Hinckley will be canned, and he will find himself in Greater Western Sydney, because I mean, even though that's probably not going to happen, if we're going to be honest with ourselves here, I'll maybe give it maybe a 3% chance of happening. I would love that. I would love to have Ken Hinckley as my next coach. But everything that I've heard about Uze would be real solid, especially gotten the Donnie stamp of approval, what it sounds like, along with the rest of the media. But of course, Donnie is the only media that matters besides just me and us in general. It's definitely better than the Victorian media. You guys are great. Oh man, I love. There we go. Finally, I found a way to work in with the Victorian media being weird. I just had to go talk about. Oh, I need to find a way to put in my other thing that I'm going to find a way. I missed my chance. I had a way better chance talking about it earlier in an overreaction segment, but I'm still going to put it in. You guys are going to have to wait and see what I'm talking about. If you know, you know, and we're going to see how I'm able to work this thing in.
Oh, boy.
So the way I feel, I know that "oh boy" is probably what a lot of people are saying, so I don't blame you. They probably actually say that anytime they see me open my mouth about footy, but it's okay at this point. Now, the weird thing, so this whole it's probably going to be North or Essendon. Like you said, I was going to ask, like, anyway, Port can work themselves into this thing? Probably not. But it's like, let's be realistic with ourselves. It's Essendon or North. North is going to be the one throwing a lot of money at him. But it seems like Essendon is probably the team with the list closer to being a finals contender. But also, Essendon doesn't know what they're doing as a club. So, I mean, there's a lot of – honestly, if you're Clarko, neither of these teams are really that ideal of a situation besides the money you're going to be paid.
It's a very interesting thing, because I've even seen a few pundits out there actually point out that they honestly think North Melbourne could probably bounce back quicker than Essendon. So it's been very fascinating to see, like, and then I've seen pundits the other way around that have said that if Clarko doesn't take the Essendon job, he's going to be 5-6 years before he even sees finals. So it really is kind of it's up for interpretation on what you think. I'm kind of sitting 50-50. I really don't see one having a massive advantage over the other. I think if Clarko comes into North, I still think it's a 2 or 3 year build before he finally gets himself a contender, shall we say. Essendon, I want to know how the players respond, because Essendon may have a list that just doesn't fit Clarko as well. So, like, Clarko is very meticulous on what he wants and how he wants it done. And if you don't, things could get dicey. So
exactly.
Clarko's going to be a coach next year. I have that feeling it's going to be North Melbourne or Essendon. It's going to be one of those two. I'm just not jumping to conclusions on that he's going to be this savior and is going to miraculously take his team to a finals in the first couple of years. I think it's going to be 3 years before he even sees the finals, because you can coach so much better, but if you have shit players, what can you do? I mean, you can only do so much with what you have. So we'll have to see.
All right, here we go. So what that means is Ross's official prediction where Clarko is going to be done like this. North Melbourne heads, Essendon tails. Let's flip a coin.
Jeez.
Come on. It's heads. He's going to North. All right, pack it up. We don't need any more articles done on this.
That's what I want.
Exactly. So we're good. It's going to happen. So just no need to talk about this until it happens, even though we're going to be talking about this for sure. Don't worry.